You are Locked On Cougs, your daily podcast on the Houston Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
As we look at this, there is only 1 week for either new program either face of the new pro, right? Connor Wigman and Houston look a lot different. New offense coordinator, new defense coordinator. Just Fritz's second year, a lot of new. Rice, we've mentioned all of the turnover in the culture and style and whatever, but not a lot of player turnover, which is interesting. Does this game play out in an ugly way in week 2 in your mind because both teams still have a lot to figure out? Or does Rice kind of feel like they know who they are?
I think that's what's most interesting about it is every coach that comes in talks about culture and talks about identity and you're like, okay, yeah, that's what you're supposed to say. But man, even watching this first game, you don't want to get too bought into one sample size, but I really do think that this is a team that knows exactly who they are. And I don't say that lightly because you look at the offense and how it goes. There are some things that you go back and you rewatch the game, you look on film, you're like, okay, here you needed to make this read instead of that read, or here you should have pitched it when you kept it. And there's some X's and O's things that they can iron out. But for the most part, you watch that game, they get in on 4th and 1 with 90 seconds left, or they get one more first down after, some play calls that didn't go their way. These are ifs. I get it. But you're looking at 19, 20 points a game. That's with this defense, this is who Rice is. They're going to run the ball. They're going to play ball control football, an option team, and they're going to pound you on defense. And that's what they said going into the year. This is who we're going to be. And that's exactly who they were in a game they were 2 touchdown underdogs in. So as far as identity, I kind of buy that this is the team you're going to get. Now, how good are they at executing that identity? I think it remains to be seen, but I think they're more ahead of schedule than I ever really would have conceived they would have been.
So you mentioned that they were 2 touchdown underdogs against Louisiana Lafayette, and they ended up winning that game 14-12. Talk us through, frankly, that whole game week going into that game. Obviously, I'll cover it very thoroughly at the Roost for folks who want to go check out things on Rice across town. What was it? Kind of, okay, 2 touchdowns is way too much here. Did you have a feeling going in it would be closer than that? Did you have any idea what to expect? Did you think you're going to win?
I mean, we got to talk to these folks at FanDuel. I have no idea how you set a line for this game. I talk to people going in because, let's be real. You have a brand new scheme and a brand new offense with a defense that, was top 5 in the American last year and returned enough pieces that was probably going to be top 5 in the American this year. Okay. But Louisiana, one of the best teams in the Sun Belt a year ago, turned over most of their roster, new quarterback, all new skill players. How, I have no idea how they do it, but so I don't know. It was hard to tell. I think there was always the belief that, and this is option football, right? If you're doing it the right way, it's a close game and you don't get behind schedule and this isn't a runaway. That's what is so interesting with these lines, because if everything goes according to plan for an option team, even if you're winning, it's a 1 or 2 score game when you get to the 4th quarter. And that's what makes these lines so difficult. So yeah, we'll call it 12 points, but this was a game where either the option worked and you ran it effectively and you were in the game or winning, or it didn't and you were down by 4 scores because you're playing catch up. And that's not where this offense is. So I guess you split the difference and you say this is either a close game or it's not, and we'll call it 14.
Well, and so last week, 55 rushes, 206 yards, no fumbles. You mentioned the occasional missed read, but is that about successful a week 1 that you could have with an option system first week of it?
100%. They did not put the ball on the ground. They had 3 and outs, but otherwise they moved the ball well and they executed. That was everything you wanted it to be. You want more than 12 points, but
well,
or 14, but if we can nitpick, you'll take 14 if the other team gets 12.
Well, and I don't have time of possession in front of me, my stat sheet here, but
36 minutes, I believe.
I was about to say, I'd imagine with that many rushes, you're also dominating time of possession, keeping the other offense off the field. And it sounds like that's more or less how that played out. Obviously, this Saturday is a rivalry weekend for both programs, and in a very traditional sense. And I would argue that there, as recently as 2023, Rice did beat Houston, right? And that frankly, one of the big chunks of what got Dana Holgerson ultimately the axe was that he had too much talent to lose that game. Let's just be honest, right? And he did. He lost the game. As I look at it this year, it's early enough in the year that I think Houston can feel like they've practiced an option football ahead of them, right? It's not they've played last Thursday, extra couple days, etc. It's also early enough in the year, though, that I feel like Rice has probably had this one circled for a minute. Is this a big for a program in year one with a new head coach and all? Is this a thing that they've been talking about for a while around Rice?
I think it's really interesting. I asked Coach Abel about that at Media Day this week, and he just basically just kind of downplayed it and said, look, like, I'm in charge of getting our team ready to play whoever's on the other side of the ball on Saturday. This week it's Houston. He gets the significance of the game to this city, to these players, to the fan base. He understands that. But I don't know. I don't really get the sense that it's being blown too far out of proportion for where it was. I think in the previous staff, Mike Bloomgren was really clear that this game mattered, and it kind of mattered more than the other ones. And I'm not saying one approach is better or not. Mike Bloomgren did win the Bayou Bucket, so he has that going for him. But yeah, I don't think it's too far out of proportion for where they're at, because I think with a large degree, they're still playing with house money, right? Like, this was a team that odds makers had winning three to four games this year, and they already have one, and it was one they weren't supposed to win. So if you lose this one, you're bummed. It stinks, but you still got to feel that you can hang with most of the rest of your schedule.
Well, and so they were. I think it was 3.5 was the games. You get Prairie View the week after Houston, right? So you got to feel pretty good about that one. You've got a couple of schools in the American.
Charlotte and UAB are both on the schedule.
Right. Like, you're going to hit the over, right? Like unless something big happens or fool's gold, Louisiana is not actually any good, you're going to hit the over. I guess my question is, does Houston weigh something amongst the guys? You mentioned Abel, new to the situation, very Belichickian in a positive way. I guess I should clarify after Monday night, but very Belichickian in his like.
Oh, it's going to lose its meaning very quickly, isn't it?
Yeah. Shouts to TCU, our Big 12 brethren, on that one. But it is feel like, hey, every game's a game. We're trying to win every whatever. But do the guys feel something? Because we talked ad nauseum about Chase Jenkins. He's an A-Leaf kid, right? Like these kids are all from the same neighborhoods, the same schools, etc. This has to mean something to the guys, or are they also bought in on what Abel's saying?
I think both. I think obviously they care and they have an emotional connection more than Abel does. You look at guys like Dalen Alexander, who I talked to this week, who scored 3 touchdowns in the Bayou Bucket win in 2023. You can say as much as you want that it's just another game, but like, he remembers holding that trophy, and that's there's a lot less trophies in college football than you would think. Like, unless you were going and playing in a playoff, at a famous bowl game that you've heard of, like, there's not a ton of trophies, especially in the South. Like, I feel like in the North, Big Ten, they give trophies away for every game, but in the South, there's not a ton of trophies. So if you can go add one to your locker room, I think that matters. And yeah, so I think everybody is on the same page of acknowledging that, like, we got to work the same way, but if we won this one, it would be kind of nice.
Well, and I want to guess the idea that it matters. I segueing into like the last bit here, talking about predictions for this week and mattering and so on. And as we alluded to before we get too far, today's show is brought to you by our buddies over at FanDuel, because NFL season is almost here. And FanDuel's making sure that you're ready for a kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. That's in-game, live-action parlays. You can future picks, current picks, games that have already started picks all over the app. So whether you're new to the game or a veteran of making action more fun, head over to FanDuel. If you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app today by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Today's show is also brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, and whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. When you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table, and that's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings you your entire financial situation all in one spot that is clean, easy to use. It's an interface that you can use on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. I teach, I coach, I podcast, I have a toddler, wife, the whole nine. Trust me, this one. If you put off organizing your finances in the past, Monarch is here for you. Monarch does all the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally, feel in control of your money without ever having to touch a spreadsheet. Now, you can maximize your earnings, make sure you're not spending too much on takeout, seeing where that money's going every month. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code Locked On College at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code Locked On College. I'm probably supposed to say this part where you describe we keep our jobs and all that, blah, 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 right? Anyway.